first of all, Iraq was a terrible mistake.
Was your vote to authorize that war a mistake?
I did. One of the worst votes I ever cast because I was lied to. I was lied to by this administration, and quite frankly, I gave a speech on the Senate floor at that time saying that my vote was not a vote to authorize to go to war. My vote was a vote to authorize the president to go to the UN to get more inspectors in Iraq. That's the way it was sold to us, David.
What do we do
know that.
now? What do we do now, Senator?
What we do now is do what Senator Obama has said, what even the Bush administration is doing right now, negotiating with Iraqis to set a timetable to get out of there. Now, we can't do it precipitously. We have to keep in mind, the protection of our troops is the first and most important thing we can do. But I do believe over 18 months, maybe 2 years, at the most 2 years, but at least within 18 months, we can be completely out of Iraq safely and send the signal to the Iraqis they have to get their act together. They have to make the political judgments and the political compromises necessary to run their country.
Mr. Reed, can we get out of there in 18 months?
Well, for starters, you don't put a timetable on it, and the Iraqis are taking control. There's over 470,000 members of the Iraqi Guard. There's 90,000 Sunni and Shiite volunteers in the inner cities. When the Guard can't be around, they're volunteering to guard their cities. Iraq is taking it over. But see, we're taking advice from somebody who has an 8-year history of becoming the Tokyo Rose of al-Qaida and Middle East terrorism. The white flag of surrender, accusing our Marines of torture, voting to defund our troops while they're in harm's way, those are all records of having an anti-American policy. We need somebody who believes in the United States of America, believes we have the most professional and powerful fighting force the world's ever known. Let them do their job. The troops over there are saying, let us do our jobs. Don't defund us. Don't pull the rug out from underneath us. Don't snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. Let them do their job and let the generals on the ground, in the field, lead the way.
You invoked Tokyo Rose. What do you mean by that?
Providing aid and comfort to the enemy, giving them a timetable. If you're playing football...
Who's doing that?
Mr. Harkin and his party. He advocated leaving Iraq. He advocated defunding our troops while they're in the middle of a war.
Mr. Reed, giving aid and comfort to the enemy is accusing someone of treason. Is that what you're accusing him of?
No, I'm accusing him of giving our enemies the playbook, saying, hey, guess what? We're going to be out by June 1st of next year. They're going to go into hiding. They're going to go in hiding. As soon as we leave, then they're going to come back. They're all going to go back to Iran. They're going to come back as soon as we leave because they know the timetable now, and they're going to come in and take over, and then we're going to be right back there forcing these kids to go back again, and the fight is going to be harder, and our enemy will be more determined because they will have been allowed to claim victory over the United States of America, the world's lone superpower. We're going to allow them to embolden their followers, recruit more people, and then they're going to bring that fight over to Main Street America. And I have children that go to school, and I'm not willing to think about roadside bombs in Marion, Iowa.
But why do didn't you just accuse Senator Harkin of anti-Americanism?
I believe that some of his positions and speeches were. I watched an ACLU speech that he gave where he outwardly accused our Marines of torture. No burden of proof, but accused them of torture, and I think that's wrong. As a former member of the military, I take that very seriously when you accuse a fellow member of the military of torture without the burden of proof. Senator,
how do you respond to that?
Well, it's hard to know where to begin. I'm very proud of my military service, and I am as dismayed by torture as anyone else when our troops do it, and when our government engages in that activity, whether it's Abu Ghraib, or whether it's at Guantanamo. I think we have to be better than that. I think what the Bush administration and Dick Cheney and Rumsfeld, what they did, has given us an image around the world that we shouldn't have, that we're going to engage in the same kind of torture that our enemies are engaged in. We have to be better than that. We didn't engage in the same kind of torture, for example, that our enemies did in World War II. We just didn't do those things, and we shouldn't today. And so, yes, mark me down. Mark me down as someone who is going to do everything he possibly can on the Defense Appropriations Committee or wherever I serve to make sure that no one in our military or our CIA or our government can ever again in the future engage in things like waterboarding and torture. We have to be above that.
And how do you respond specifically to the phrase aid and comfort to the enemy and anti-American?
Well, again, these kinds of personal attacks are what people get sick of in politics. you know, this ankle-biting kind of personal attacks that you're anti-American. This is nonsense. This is nonsense, and people don't want that. If Mr. Reid wants to talk about what he would like to do in Iraq and stuff, that's fine. He every reason, he has every right to be able to do that. I have my right to say what I would want to do, and quite frankly, what I'm saying to do in Iraq is basically what the Bush administration is doing right now. They're negotiating with Iraq for a timetable to get out of Iraq. I think that's the proper way to go.